this video we're going to look at questions around proportion, particularly where we have and are dealing with recipes. They're very commonly asked questions within your GCSE exam. We'll look at the examples. Below is a pancake recipe that serves 4 people, and it gives us the different amounts of these ingredients, and it's asked us to find the ingredient amounts to serve 8 people. Well, what we have to consider, if these amounts, 100 grams of flour, 2 tablespoons cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 tablespoon sunflower oil and 2 eggs, if they serve 4 people and we want amounts that are going to serve 8 people, well, very simply, because we're dealing with double the amount of people, all we have to do is double the amounts for the ingredients. So in each case, we're just going to multiply each of these amounts by 2 to get our final answer. So this very basic and simple, straightforward example. So 100 grams of flour would serve 4 people. We would need double that to serve 8 people. So therefore, for 8 people, we would need 200 grams of flour. Instead of 2 tablespoons for 4 people, we will need double that. We will need 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder to serve 8 people. And the same right the way down. 1 tablespoon baking powder becomes 2 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon sunflower oil becomes 2 tablespoons, and instead of 2 eggs, we're going to need 4 eggs. Okay, so very straightforward example, that first one. Whenever the original amount is a factor of the desired amount in terms of the amount of servings, we just double it or triple it or whatever it is we need to do. So to get to to get from 4 to 8, we need to double that, so we double the amounts for our ingredients. Moving on to a slightly different example, 2 parts in this one. Okay, so below is part of a recipe of a drink serving 3 people. And in part A, we've been asked to find the ingredients needed to serve 1 person. Okay, so if the original amounts of ingredients is to serve 3 and we only want to serve 1, well, to get from 3 to 1, we divide by 3. So that's exactly what we need to do to each of these amounts. And what you'll find in later examples and for questions, finding the amounts needed to serve 1 person is usually very helpful, because it then allows you to find the amounts for any number of people, and we'll see that as we progress. So for 1 person, instead of 600 to serve 3 people, we only need 200, because we are dividing these amounts by 3. Instead of 150 grams of sugar, we only need 50 grams of sugar, because that's 150 divided by 3, and 75 divided by 3 for the diluted juice is just 25. Okay, now what you'll see here with part B is that finding the amounts for 1 person very much helps us for finding any other amounts. So in part B, we've been asked to find the ingredients needed to serve 4 people. Okay, if I know 1 person, I can get from 1 to 4 by simply multiplying by 4. Okay, so what I can do is I can use my answers from part A to get my answers in part B by simply multiplying each of these by 4. All right, so 200, and again, just be careful to put the units in. 200 milliliters of lemonade becomes 4 times that, so therefore we need 800 milliliters of lemonade to serve 4 people. 50 grams of sugar will become 200 grams of sugar, and 25 milliliters of diluted juice will become 100 milliliters of diluted juice, because we have multiplied each of those amounts by 4. So key point here, and the key lesson to be learned from the second example, is that finding the amounts that serves 1 person can allow us to work out a whole variation of amounts for different servings. All right, and we'll see that in question 3. Question 3 is very similar to question 2, only it's basically part A and B combined into 1. As in, we are going to, there's 2 parts of the working out, and we'll have to find the amounts needed for 1 person and then find the amounts needed for 7, because if we refer to the question, below is part of a recipe for a drink, and this serves 5 people. We need to calculate the amounts to serve 7 people. So really there's no way by just straightforward multiplying to get from 5 to 7 using integers, because 7 is not a multiple of 5. So what we have to do is work backwards first to find 1 person. So I'm going to find the amounts for 1 person for each of these ingredients, and to get from 5 to 1, I simply divide each of these by 5. Okay, so we need to find the individual amounts for cola, diluted juice and sugar for one person. And then if I know one person, I can find 7 people by multiplying that by 7. So we'll do one person first. So 800 divided by 5 gives me 160. So 160 milliliters of cola. 200 divided by 5 is 40. So 40 milliliters of diluted juice. And 50 divided by 5 is just 10. So 10 grams of sugar. Now to get from one person to 7 for my final answer, I'm going to multiply each of these amounts by 7. Okay, so 160 by 7 is 1,120 milliliters of cola. 40 by 7 is 280 milliliters of diluted juice. And 10 multiplied by 7 is 70, so 70 grams of sugar. So the key point here for these types of questions is find for the amount for one person, and then you can find the amount for 7, 8, 9, or whatever it is you are trying to find for your the servings that you're looking to deal with. So I'll put some examples to have a go at. Anything you're unsure about, just ask, and I will look at some more challenging questions of this nature in a separate video.